Hey, welcome to Blue UK Jazz Dance in the Blue Lab. One of the key things I want to share with individuals is my Dance in a Spirit of Jazz project, 1981. I established it in 1981, and it started as a multicultural project. I was brought in by a gentleman called Sir Roy Blackman to work with students, overseas students that came to Britain, and it was to break stereotypes. What happened, there was a riot of 81, and then what happened was there was a first ever international conference to do with black people in Britain and their presence in here, and basically it was sharing the legacy of blacks being in here, and that many people didn't know that they were here, and that led to hate crime being around and people viewing blacks as inferior because the educational system, the British educational system, identified all its people, the people that it colonialized, were all inferior. They had not contributed. But the history that the conference was bringing, international conference on black people in Britain, was identifying what happened simply was this: the wealth of Britain came from slavery and colonializing these people. So how can you say these people have not contributed to the legacy of Britain, and identify them as sponging off Britain? That was unacceptable. And it was very important because, one, think about the end of slavery. The owners of slaves got millions of dollars, trillions of dollars was given back, trillions of pounds was given back to the owners of slaves. People need to understand, very important. In colonialization, it was a new form of slavery that was created, and again, off the back of the colonists, islands and countries, Britain made millions and millions of dollars, and the West made millions of dollars. So I was brought into this project basically to break stereotypes. There were stereotypes about West Indian youth, and them stereotypes, international students came here, they'd been educated negatively because there was no books, right? No books that actually presented black West Indians in a positive light, West Indians in Britain. So the best way that stereotypes could be broken is by bringing artists, people who had a expert knowledge, which I did from very young, of working with different cultures, and that happened by accident, people. Because what happened in 1972, I was born in the slums of Moss Side, first of all, you need to know that. 1964 to 72, one was there, but I went to Grenada in 1972, and what happened was my dad's Jamaican, mum's Grenadian. Very few Jamaican and Grenadians married each other in 1968. So when I went to Grenada, that was a huge thing when I went there, and I showed them my dad's dances from his country, which I'd learned, and the dances from Britain. I came like a celebrity in Grenada anyway, because what happened, they had a negative viewpoint of people lived in the north, that we were dumb, etc. It was quite funny, actually. Surreal, so I had double discrimination going there, but at the same time I had celebration of who I was. They had stereotypes about people in the north, because my mum lived in the country, so there's a whole thing that divides between town and country, Well, they had that. I lived in the north of England, which is seen as country, but I educated them a little bit, talking about, remember, Manchester was the first modern city in the world, so people were shocked in respect to my historical knowledge that I had. Legal systems, why I talked in that way, because I wanted to be a barrister, you see, and a cricketer, and I wanted to be a dancer. And what happened was Manchester is at the forerunner of legalities, you know what I mean? Forerunner of cricket and forerunner of dancing is important for people to understand. Anyway, cut a long story short, that was me becoming a British representative began in 1972 in Grenada, and I wrote a book while I was there, a short book, and I wrote a book when I came back. But what happened, bullies had destroyed my book when I went into school, but that was after I read it out in the school. Now that was very important, because what it was, I went to school 68, I couldn't read and write, and my writing and reading improved in Grenada when I went there for a little while, because I'd been bullied and people tried to kill me, okay? So cut a long story short, from that 1976, I really excelled in education. I got better from 72 to 76. I just about failed my 11 plus, but that was still an improvement because of the challenges I faced in my school. But in 1976, what happened was I met the Dance Fair of Harlem, again being a British representative. Why? Because I was the best dancer in my school. I did jig, all the types, European dance, creative dance, freestyle disco dance champion. I was that in the school, and the best sportsman, and I won the most merit stars for the neatest person in the school, the best timekeeper, person getting to school, etc. The best projects, etc. You have to see my projects were all 3D. So again, what happened was I was taken to meet the Dance Fair of Harlem as a prize in 1976. Again, what happened was an amazing story took place where I shared with them my dance. Now what happened was I was supposed to actually share freestyle disco dancing because I meant to be in backstage. But I said to them, can I share my jazz dancing? Can I share the dances I do in my culture that my dad taught me, etc., etc.? And I did them, and I got a really rapturous round of applause. Then I showed them my jazz dancing, which I had a character called The Adventures of the Swing Kid, and basically it was Shuff Shoe Shuffle, and I did some singing, dancing, whatever, and I thought, wow, that was really, really good. At that time I didn't know I had like a flavour of the Nicholas Brothers, and in America young people danced with the families. I have a family of dancers. I didn't know that in America. I got represented and then told me that you're really, really good, keep that up and keep your studies up together. Then anyway, what happened, cut long story short, I ended up going to Spain in 1978. I won loads of disco dance competitions, solo and a duo. I duoed with a girl from African America who was there with her father who was a soldier, etc. Amazing situation happened. Then 1980 I was a representative of youth in London, and again I met people from overseas and exchanged dancing with them. And then in 1981 was the project that I talk about today, Dancing Spirit of Jazz, came about. And I made a core mission, not by myself, with my teacher, Roy Blackman. He would have been with me from the age of 8 years old since I came back from the Caribbean. And I made a core mission to promote the positive image and energy of my African culture, heritage, arts, and wider uses people. It was more than that, for communication skills, etc. Why did I do that? Because I used it for that. I went on a lot of leadership projects within the church, and we used dance as a tool, to a vehicle to improve communication skills, improve our confidence. Again, in cultural groups I did that. I did that within schools. I did it in a wide range of projects. So I thought, boom, if one, that was done for me and it was done for other people, then I could use this project idea for overseas students that come to meet us. I realized that dancing the spirit of jazz means a lot of things. It's a philosophy, it's a way of life, and it's a common denominator. All of us dance in the spirit of jazz. All of us, and we know what it means. When we have a conversation, that's the common bond with us. Because what bonded me with my mother and father was they both like jazz. That was the common denominator that we could talk, for example. So one of the key things, I had what is called identity crisis. Because my dad's Jamaican and mum's Grenadian. What am I? Jamaican, Grenadian, Jamaican. But what happened was a beautiful story. My dad thinks different to my mum. But one thing that they both dance in the spirit of jazz. Dancing in the spirit of jazz is pushing the boundaries of your learning, thinking and development. Having self-pride in who you are, what you are, boom. Developing your own ideas around learning, thinking, development. Working with others in harmony. I could go on. So these are the things I talked in the project. And that helped because I identified, I talk about what's the common denominator between us all. We have all been miseducated by the elite society. So people have to stop in the tracks and realize that we did. So let's re-educate ourselves. So Dancing the Spirit of Jazz project is about rethinking. It's about re-educating, re-examining the knowledge that you have. Most importantly, not looking before you leap to conclusions. You've met me. What happened? I shocked them because I was born in the slums of my side. And I showed them pictures of the slums. If you see the slums, it doesn't look good. What happened? People made assumptions that people in the slums don't have manners. They don't have courtesy. They don't know how to learn and develop. Well, I don't know what you're talking about. Do you understand? My parents gave me an exceptional and outstanding early learning. Exceptional, outstanding child learning. We had to learn social etiquette. We knew how to deal with guests when they came to our home from young children. We had a lot of manners. My parents taught me manners can take you around the world. And they did take me around the world. Because it wasn't education that taught me around the world. It was manners. My rapport in the dancing and my commitment to dance which had been debased by wider communities, I showed value for it. So what happened, I broke people's stereotypes. When they looked at dance, I was told that my social dances that West Indians do are all bad. They're bad for your character and personality. Well, I challenged people, and that was part of the project. Anyway, Blue Cage Jazz Dancers, giving you insight into dancing the spirit of jazz and its importance to me.